What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I just wanted to make a quick video before before I get to watching the Sunday night football game, the Chargers and um, uh, the Bears, Chargers and Bears. But it is actually starting like right now, so I am gonna get to that in a minute. But I did want to make a video kind of recapping some of the Week 8 stuff that happened in for us, for the division, for the conference, and obviously talk a little bit about our game today against the Patriots, which we won 31-17. There were definitely some mistakes. I mean, there were some penalties. Tua threw an interception. It wasn't a perfect game, of course, and obviously a division opponent, but we took care of business 31-17. Jalen Ramsey did make his debut, and he got an interception in this game, which was fucking phenomenal to see. And Holland and Xavier Howard did not play, so but I do expect them to play next week in Germany against the Chiefs, which will be phenomenal, and we can really use them because it's one of the top tier teams. But they did just lose today, 24-9 to the Denver Broncos. Never did I think, not never, any given Sunday, but they lost, which means we are now tied. Actually, we're tied with a couple teams, as it turns out, but we're tied for first place in the AFC, so for the number one seed. And obviously we're in first place in the division with a 6-2 record. The Bills are 5-3. They did beat the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football, but let's keep it real. They did struggle pretty mightily and should have lost that game. Either Godwin should have looked up a little sooner and gotten, his hands on that Hail Mary for the touchdown and the win, or they should have gotten some kind of a penalty, because there were a number of them. And they should have had the ball at the 1 yard line with at least one shot to try and get it in the end zone. But anyway, the Bills escaped. They are 5-3. The Jets won today, barely in overtime against the Giants. So they are 4-3. Obviously, we beat the Patriots, so they dropped to 2-6. So great stuff there. Love it, love it, love it. The Chiefs, like I said, they lost, so they're now 6-2. The Ravens are 6-2. They got a win today. Jaguars are also 6-2, so that's really right now. And those are all the division leaders: the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Jags. Right. So, the top teams in the AFC as it stands, and the division leaders are those four teams, with the Bills at 5-3, the Steelers at 4-3, and the Jets at 4-3, rounding out the AFC playoff picture as of right now. So obviously after week 8, most of week 8, because there's obviously Monday Night Football that needs to be played as well. And then of course actually I thought I saw somewhere that no teams were on bye this week, but anyway, whatever. Either way, after week 8 minus the Monday Night Football game, those are the top teams in the AFC, with our Miami Dolphins, of course, leading the way in the AFC East. So that is awesome. I'm super fucking pumped about that. And obviously too, when it comes to this game, most of it was good. There was, like I said, there were some sloppy moments. There were a couple penalties. Like I said, Tua threw the interception, but he threw 3 touchdown passes. And Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both had over 100 yards. The ground game, the run game was, today, but that they at least stuck with it and, had some decent production to help them get to a win, right? So the big context out of this game was some injuries that we had. Now, David Long had an injury momentarily, but he ended up coming back in the game. He seems fine. Kendall Lamb, the biggest injuries were on the offensive line. Kendall Lamb had an injury, but he did end up coming back in the game. His was an abdomen injury. He does seem fine. There is a potential we could get Armstead back next week as well. So, and if not, then we should at the very least, have Armstead back for the Raiders game. But it would be nice to have him back as well next week too. Like I said, I expect Holland and Howard to play next week. Connor Williams was active today, but he didn't play. And thankfully they didn't end up needing him, but it got close because we had multiple injuries on the offensive line today. Another one being Robert Hunt, who, as far as I could tell, did not come back into the game. Robert Jones ended up filling in for him. Lester Cotton was still at left tackle. Eichenberg at center. Lester Cotton at left guard with Kendall Lamb at left tackle. And then, was it Keon Smith was the backup for Kendall Lamb? But Kendall Lamb came back in. Robert Hunt did not. And Robert Hunt was a hamstring, I think it was, or something along those lines. Hopefully nothing too serious, though. I mean, whatever it is, just hopefully it's nothing too serious because, it would be nice to be able to have him in the lineup for the Chiefs game. Now, I do actually really like Rob Jones. From the limited amount that I've actually gotten to see him, obviously he's kind of coming off an injury too, although, much farther removed from his injury than some of the other guys that are coming off, like, Ramsey was a recent injury. But anyway, I was hoping, though, that with the Isaiah Wynn injury that he would end up getting to fill in that left guard spot with, Armstead coming back at left tackle, Williams coming back in at center. Hopefully Robert Hunt will be able to come back and play right guard, and then Austin Jackson at right tackle. So, but it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out over the course of the week. We'll get more information on all that stuff as the week goes on. And, then we'll see what happens going into the Chiefs game. But as of right now, I would say that, it shouldn't be too big of a concern for Dolphins fans at the moment. Like I said, let's see how things play out. Ramsey looked really good in his debut, so he should be good to go for the Chiefs, which is huge. I do expect Howard and Holland to play against the Chiefs, which will be huge. And then our defense will be back up to full strength. We'll have everybody, out there. Oh, Chase Claypool got a reception today, by the way, just to throw that out there because it popped in my head. And I actually do think that he should and will get a little bit more implemented into this offense week in and week out. And by the way, so I know earlier in the season, what was it? The Chargers game, I think in week 1 when, Tua had that really nice fade pass to Tyreek Hill in the back corner of the end zone. And that was awesome and amazing. But those plays in the future should start going to Chase Claypool, in my opinion, because, and we saw a nice one a couple weeks ago to Jalen Waddle, where Waddle went up and elevated for the ball. And that's great. And you love to see those guys doing that and coming down with those receptions. But the reason why I say Chase Claypool should start to get those targets a little bit more is because he's that bigger body guy. And he doesn't necessarily even have to jump to go up in high point balls because he is 6'4" and 230 pounds. He's already got the height and the length. Plus he's got the body frame that he can, body and box out defenders. So it would make those throws, those targets, I would think, and at least theoretically, a much higher percentage play. Because today it didn't work. But anyway, so just some thoughts there. What else? I mean, anything else from this game and from this week? I don't know. I'm pumped. I mean, it was a great overall game for the Dolphins. Again, not perfect, but no game really is ever going to be perfect. I think that this team is going to continue to get stronger and stronger, especially as we get a little healthier. We'll be getting Achane back I don't think he'll be eligible to come back until the Raiders game regardless, so it probably won't be until then after the bye. But there is a chance, like I said, that we could potentially get Armstead back next week. Howard and Holland, I expect it. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see what the national media has to say after we, smoked the Patriots. It was a pretty decisive victory. Like I said, 31-17 at the end of the day. we got a couple turnovers and stuff like that. The defense does really seem to look like they are coming on. They have been playing better and better and better each week as they get more familiar with this Vic Fangio defense. But having Jalen Ramsey out there changes the game completely, and it really allows the rest of the players to play how they're supposed to in the defense, as well as have Vic Fangio, gives him the ability to call the defense the way he wants to. Now, that'll, again, once Holland and Howard for like the fifth time are back in the lineup, which should be against the Chiefs, then it really starts to look, or will really start to look how we want it to. And I think that by the end of the season, we will end up being a top tier defense as well as offense. And I think we will rise into the top half, if not the top 10 or so, in defensive categories almost across the board. So except for maybe yardage, we'll probably still remain like middle of the pack in average yardage, because this Vic Fangio defense does still have that element of, bend but don't break to it, just kind of built into its core. So I'm really excited, and I'm definitely, this past week, I didn't really watch like any of the national media coverage and stuff, because I just didn't want to hear them shitting all over the Dolphins after the loss, especially because, again, I'm a firm believer that the refs 100% they weren't the entire reason we lost. We played a good team on the road, etc. I mean, the Eagles got their win today, so now they're 7-1, so they're the reigning NFC champs, so they're a good team. It was their home. That was a factor. Injuries were a factor, but the deciding factor was certainly the refs. So, but after that, the Dolphins come out, they handle business. The Chiefs lose. The Bills struggled and almost lost. And it is going to be interesting to see what, everybody has to say. And Patrick Mahomes, too, apparently was playing this game sick. They say it was just the flu. These days, especially in this country, people constantly call any sickness that they have these days the flu, when more often than not, or very frequently, it ends up being COVID, which is not anywhere close to the flu. They're two wildly different diseases, and COVID is significantly more harmful to human beings and to every organ in your fucking body, let alone the fact that it's significantly, even with vaccines. Anyway, I don't want to get into a tangent with that. My point here is apparently Mahomes was playing sick. He did have some kind of illness. They called it the flu. And then during this game, he did get an injury, although it was like he got like a cut on his left hand or something. I'm not super sure what it was. It didn't seem like it was anything serious. It didn't seem like it would be anything that would keep him out of the game against the Dolphins in Germany, but just an interesting thought there. And we'll see. I mean, if it was, he was bleeding, it was a significant amount of blood. So, I mean, if it was, if it was a decent cut or whatever it was to his hand, then, maybe it affects him in the next game. I would think probably not. They'll probably, he'll have a week to rest and wash it and bandage it and blah, blah, blah and whatever, and then he can bandage it during the game. I wouldn't think it would be anything serious, but, whatever. The Chiefs did have, like, another injury that I thought was notable, too. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. I think it was one of their linebackers. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But obviously, too, we'll look at the injury report for both teams over the course of the week and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. Like I said, I'm going to get to this this Sunday night football game. I want to, get to watching that now, which has already started. It's about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes into the game. And like I said, I didn't want to make this video too long either. But that's really all I got to say. I mean, like I said, right now I'm not in a position to where I'm going to be doing videos that are like super in depth. I mean, hopefully I can get my fucking, life sorted out. And hopefully next year I'll be able to go into the season, a little bit more stable and able to, do this stuff again. Cause I'm just kind of saying fuck it right now. I'm just doing it because it makes me happy. I enjoy it. And, the Dolphins are doing good things. So it's fun. But hopefully I'll be able to do it again on a more permanent basis, soon, and things will, stabilize for me. And next year, I would like to get back to doing, full-on previews and breakdowns with all the stats and everything, so I can give you real in-depth descriptions and analysis of this team. But again, just kind of in a nutshell, just to reiterate one more time to wrap it up, they played really good overall. It wasn't perfect, but, division rival, we got the sweep now on the Patriots. We're 4-1 within the conference and 2-1 within the division. So that is amazing, and that gives us, some head-to-heads there, because the Bills, they are 5-3 and one game behind us, but they're 2-3 in the conference and 1-2 within the division. So even though technically they would have the head-to-head tiebreaker on us, we would have the conference and divisional tiebreakers over them. And when we get the win in Week 18, that head-to-head tiebreaker isn't going to quite matter as much, and those conference and divisional tiebreakers will come into play. Should we have an identical overall record at the end of the season, but I think we'll have more wins than them either way. So not too worried about that. All right, I'm going to get up out of here. Hope you guys, appreciate it and like my perspective and my thoughts on it. Again, super excited for next week. Next week is going to be so huge, because whoever wins that game will come out 7-2. The loser will be 6-3, and then they will have a leg up on the other one for number 1 seed in the AFC at the end of the season. And that would be so huge to have that kind of advantage over the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, the rest of the AFC in general, because if we get the playoffs through Miami, look out, boy. Super Bowl for sure. Here we come. All right, let me get out of here. Again, hope you guys appreciate it and like it. Let's ride this shit. Let's keep it going. Let's take this shit into Germany and let's get it done, baby. And we're going to continue to get healthier and healthier. Let's keep that up. And also, let's knock on wood and let's hope that we don't have any more injuries as the season goes on, as we get through the second half of the season. So, fins up. Let's keep it going. Hell yeah. And I will see y'all soon.
7 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it, and this will end it after the shuttle. Miami runs around, circling, on the go. Gronkowski did not let it go. Touchdown! Oh, canyon rain! Oh, miracle! Miraculous in Miami! Stills to Parker to Drake. And they held off the what has taken place here in South Florida. The Dolphins have done it. They keep their season alive. 69 yards. Wow. Pure joy. Miami wins it.